I died that night. Not from the slap that cracked across my cheek like a thunderclap in our polished dining room, but from the silence that swallowed it whole, the way my mother-in-law's fork scraped her plate as if nothing had happened, and my husband's brother chuckled into his whiskey like it was all just good TV. The pills went down easy after that. A bitter cocktail chased with the realization that love in the Harrington family wasn't a vow, it was a transaction. And I defaulted on the payments. But death's a lousy editor. It cut the scene too soon. And when my eyes snapped open to the scent of fresh lilies and the itch of lace against my skin, I wasn't in that cold marble bathroom anymore. I was back in the bridal suite. 3 years earlier. Heart pounding like a war drum, ready to rewrite the goddamn script. The mirror in front of me showed a girl who looked too damn innocent, 25. Wide-eyed Fiona with her auburn curls pinned up like she was stepping into a fairy tale, not a horror show. My hands trembled as I touched the veil, the fabric whispering against my fingertips like a ghost's apology. This was it. The morning of my wedding to Ethan Harrington, the golden boy of Silicon Valley's underbelly, heir to a tech empire built on stolen code and buried scandals. In my first life, I'd fallen for the charm. The private jets to Napa weekends. The way he'd whisper, "You're my everything," while his eyes scanned the room for better options. Blind, stupid love.
But now?
Now I knew the ending. The slaps would start subtle, a backhand over a misplaced sock, escalating to that Thanksgiving nightmare where he'd clock me right there at the oak table. Turkey carcass still steaming. While his family, my family, or so I'd thought, sipped their Merlot and pretended it was the wine talking. I ripped off the veil, letting it pool on the floor like spilled blood. No more playing the blushing bride. This time, I'd be the architect of their downfall. Ethan had secrets. Oh yeah, the kind that could topple his family's facade faster than a bad earnings call. I'd uncovered them too late in my first go-round. The embezzlement from his dad's startup. The affair with his assistant that bled into something darker. A cover-up of a hidden run that pinned the blame on some poor undocumented kid who vanished into the system. And me? I'd been the perfect scapegoat. The unstable wife whose hysteria made the family look sympathetic when the cops came sniffing. They'd gaslit me into silence. Then into that bathroom. Pills in hand. But secrets have a half-life. And mine was about to explode. Downstairs. The bridal brunch was in full swing. Ethan's mom, Vivian, holding court like a queen in her Chanel suit, her Botox smile as sharp as the heirloom silver. Fiona, darling, you look radiant, she cooed, air-kissing my cheeks while her eyes appraised me like livestock. In my past life, I'd lapped it up, desperate for approval from this ice queen who'd clawed her way from trailer park to penthouse.
Now.
I saw the calculation. I was the fresh coat of paint on their tarnished legacy. The girl from a modest Midwest family who wouldn't ask questions. Thanks, Viv, I said, my voice steady, laced with a honeyed edge I'd practiced in the mirror. Ethan's lucky to have me. God knows he needs someone to keep him in line. The table froze, his sister Lila mid-bite of avocado toast. His dad, Richard, choking on his mimosa. Vivian's laugh tinkled like breaking glass.
Oh.
Feisty today. Bridal jitters, I suppose. I smiled wider, holding her gaze. This was step 1. Plant the seeds of doubt. Make them wonder if the sweet little Fiona had teeth. Ethan swept in then, all 6'2" of tailored Armani and cologne that screamed money. His blue eyes lit up, fake as a cubic zirconia, when he saw me. There's my girl. He pulled me into a kiss that lingered just a beat too long for public. his hand possessive on my waist. In the old timeline, it had melted me.
Now.
It felt like chains. I leaned in, whispering so only he could hear. Missed you last night. Where'd you disappear to? His smile faltered barely, but I caught it. The bachelor party hangover, that wasn't a hangover at all. He'd been with Tara, his assistant, sealing deals that weren't on any board agenda. The brunch dragged on in a haze of small talk and champagne flutes, plans for the honeymoon in Maui, whispers about the Harrington Foundation Gala next month. I played my part, laughing at Richard's golf jokes, complimenting Lila's engagement ring like it wasn't bought with dirty money. But underneath, my mind was a storm. I had 3 years to unravel them. First, the hit and run. Ethan's Porsche clipping a cyclist on a foggy San Francisco night. The kid, an immigrant named Javier, left bleeding on the roadside. They'd paid off witnesses, pinned it on a fictional drunk driver, and buried the evidence in offshore accounts. I'd found the emails after the fact, in a fit of paranoia, but by then it was too late. Javier's family got a settlement that kept them quiet, and I got the blame for stressing Ethan out with my nagging. As the caterers cleared plates, I slipped away to the powder room, heart racing. My phone, still the old iPhone from before the upgrade, buzzed with a text from my best friend.
Mia.
Back in Ohio. You sure about this?
Fi.
Harringtons give me the creeps.
God.
If she only knew. I typed back, more sure than ever. Call you tonight. Mia was my lifeline. The one who'd tried to warn me before the wedding. The one who'd found me after the pills. This time, she'd be my ally from day one. Back in the fray, Ethan cornered me by the dessert tray. You okay? Seemed distant. His hand on my arm, gentle now. But I knew the script. I turned, cupping his face like a lover. But my eyes were steel. Just thinking about forever.
Babe.
You know I'd do anything for you.
Lie.
I'd do everything to you. He grinned, oblivious. That's my girl. The ceremony that afternoon was a blur of white tents on the Harrington estate overlooking the bay. String quartet warbling Pachelbel's canon as 300 guests in pastel seersucker pretended this was the American dream. I walked down the aisle on my dad's shaky arm. Cancer had already started gnawing at him then, vowing in front of God and Google execs to love, honor, obey.
Obey.
The word stuck in my throat like barbed wire. When Ethan slid the ring on, a 3-carat canary diamond that cost more than my parent house, I whispered my own vow under my breath. Till death do us part? Honey, death was just the intermission. The reception kicked off with fireworks, literal ones, bursting over the water like false promises. I danced with Ethan under the stars, his breath hot on my neck, murmuring about babies and boardrooms. But as he spun me out, I caught Vivian watching from the veranda, her martini glass tilted like a guillotine. She knew something was off, mothers-in-law always do. Later, as tipsy aunts mobbed the cake, I pulled Mia aside in the garden maze, imported from some French chateau. Because why not excess? And spilled it all. Not the future. Not the death, just the doubts. The whispers I'd overheard about Ethan's wild nights. Mia's eyes widened, her Latina fire sparking.
Fee.
I've been saying, those Harringtons are vipers. Remember that story about Richard's first wife? Vanished after she found out about his investments. Poof. I nodded, filing it away. First wife's suicide, another thread to pull. Help me dig.
Mia.
Quietly, she squeezed my hand. For you, Y de buibudías. That night, in the honeymoon suite at the Fairmont, silk sheets and a view of the Golden Gate, I lay awake beside a snoring Ethan. His snores like the rumble of an incoming freight train. My laptop, balanced on my knees, glowed with the first searches, Harrington Tech embezzlement rumors. Nothing solid yet, but breadcrumbs. Offshore accounts in the Caymans. A shell company called Apex Ventures. And Javier, the cyclist's name, seared into my brain from the autopsy report I'd read in my grief-fueled haze. He'd been 22, studying to be a nurse, dreams crushed under chrome and entitlement. By dawn, as Ethan stirred and pulled me close, murmuring sleepy affections, I had a plan sketched in my notes app: infiltrate,
Document. Destroy.
Step 1. Charm the family deeper. Step 2. Turn Mia into my mole at her PR firm, sniffing out dirt on Tara. Step 3. The big one. Get close to Richard's old files in the estate study. But as his lips brushed my shoulder, a sliver of the old Fiona twisted in my gut. Was this revenge or madness? Did it matter? The slap was coming, unless I threw the first punch. Weeks blurred into the newlywed haze, but I was anything but hazy. We settled into the Pacific Heights townhouse, 3 stories of glass and granite, a wedding gift from Richard that screamed, "Welcome to the cage." Ethan dove back into Harrington Tech, rubbing elbows at venture capital mixers, while I played house, yoga classes in the Presidio, brunches with Lila where I'd nod sympathetically to her complaints about her controlling fiancé, all while slipping questions like scalpels. Ethan ever mentioned that old car accident? Sounded rough. Lila would wave it off. Oh, just a fender bender. Silly, but I'd see the flicker. The family code of silence. Mia came for a weekend, crashing on the leather sectional with takeout burritos, and we huddled over my laptop like conspirators in a spy flick. "Look at this," she said, pulling up a forum thread from some whistleblower site. Harrington's laundering through Napa vineyards? Links to grainy photos of Richard shaking hands with sketchy suits. Your in-laws are playing Monopoly with real money. I scrolled deeper, heart hammering. There it was, a redacted police report on the hidden run, dated 2 years back.
Victim, Javier Morales.
Driver, unknown. But the coordinates? Matched Ethan's old Porsche plates. Sold off quick after. That night, Ethan came home late, reeking of bourbon and perfume that wasn't mine. "Big meeting," he slurred, collapsing onto the bed. I straddled him, playing the doting wife, my fingers tracing his collar. "Tell me about it."
Babe.
"Unwind." He mumbled about deals closing, but his phone buzzed on the nightstand, screen lighting up with Tara's name and a heart emoji. I waited till he passed out, then swiped it open. Password: our anniversary. Amateur. Texts: "Miss you already." That thing with the kid?
Handled.
My blood turned to ice. The affair was the appetizer. This was the main course. The next morning, over coffee on the balcony, fog rolling in like a bad omen, I confronted him softly. Testing waters. "Ethan, you seem stressed." "Anything from before?" "The accident." He paused, mug halfway to his lips, eyes narrowing just a hair. "What accident?" "The one with the cyclist." Lila mentioned it once.
Lie.
But it landed. His laugh was forced.
A bark.
Ancient history.
Fee.
Why drag it up? I shrugged. All innocence. Just want to know you. All of you. He kissed my forehead, patronizing, and left for the office. But as his Tesla purred away, I texted Mia, "We need a PI." Discreet. Life ramped up. Holiday parties where I'd schmooze investors. Dropping casual bombs like, "Ethan's so ethical, never cuts corners." Watching them squirm if they knew the rumors. Vivian invited me to the estate for Girls' Day, facials and gossip. But I turned it into recon. While she napped off her rose, I slipped into Richard's study. The air thick with cigar smoke and old money. Drawers locked, but the desktop hummed alive under my touch. Password: Vivian's birthday pathetic. Files upon files. Apex Ventures spreadsheets. Transfers to consultants totaling millions. And buried in a subfolder labeled personal, a dashcam clip. Time-stamped 2:17 a.m. Fog-shrouded streets. Ethan's Porsche swerving. The thud. The skid. No face, but the license plate gleamed. Jackpot. I copied it to a thumb drive, hard in my throat, and was back in the kitchen blending smoothies when Vivian stirred. "Find everything you need, dear?" Her eyes, sharp as ever, pinned me. "Just some reading on the family biz. Inspiring stuff."
She smiled.
But it didn't reach her eyes. Step 3. Initiated. Christmas came like a wolf in tinsel. Harrington tradition at the Tahoe Lodge. A sprawling A-frame with a view of the lake that could have swallowed my childhood home whole. Ethan proposed we start our tradition, a family toast to the future. I raised my glass of eggnog spiked, naturally, and said, "To truths coming out." They clinked, oblivious. But that night, as snow blanketed the pines, I met Mia in a dive bar 2 towns over, handing off the drive. "Get this to a lawyer."
Anonymous tip.
She hugged me fierce. "You're scaring me."
Phi.
"This could blow up everything." "Good," I whispered. "That's the point." Back at the lodge, Ethan pulled me into the hot tub under the stars, steam rising like ghosts. "You're different lately." "Hotter." "What's your secret?" I laughed, low and throaty, climbing onto his lap. "Revenge, baby. The best kind." He thought it was dirty talk. Idiot. The new year slithered in with resolutions I had no intention of keeping. Ethan's gym memberships gathering dust while I honed my edge like a blade on whetstone. By February, the PI Mia hired, a grizzled ex-cop named Hal with a Brooklyn accent and a nose for bullshit, delivered the first dossier. We met in a foggy diner off the 101. Vinyl booths cracking under us as he slid a manila envelope across. "Your boy's clean on paper. But that hit and run? Witnesses bought off. Kid's family deported on a technicality. Harrington's own half the judges in the county." I flipped through photos. Javier's smiling yearbook pic. Ethan's Porsche in a chop shop days after. And the embezzlement?
How grunted.
Richard siphoning R&D funds into Apex, offshore laundering through wine auctions. Your hubby's in deep, signing off on transfers. I paid him in cash, crisp hundreds from my bridal savings, and drove home with the windows down, wind whipping my hair like freedom's first taste. Ethan was at a conference in Vegas, code for Tara's hotel suite, but I used the empty house to map Phase 2, divide and conquer. Lila first. She was the weak link. The artsy sister chasing gallery dreams while dodging Vivian's shadow. I invited her for coffee at a Haight-Ashbury cafe, all exposed brick and overpriced lattes, and played the confiding sister-in-law. Lila. Ethan's been
distant.
Late nights. You ever notice? Her manicured nails tapped her cup, eyes darting. He's always been a partier. Dad covered for him after college, some DUIs swept under. Bingo. I leaned in, voice dropping. Like that accident? The cyclist. She blanched, spilling foam. Fiona. Don't. It's family. Family, I echoed, tasting bile. That's why I'm asking. Protect us all. She bit her lip, then whispered. It wasn't Ethan driving. It was Dad. Borrowing the car. Ethan took the heat to keep the stock price steady. Twist one landed. Richard. The patriarch. The real wheelman. Ethan's loyalty. Just another transaction. Armed with that, I pivoted to Vivian. Mother's Day brunch at the club, croquet greens, and old money gossip. She preened over mimosas, but I steered us to the terrace. Bay breeze carrying salt and secrets. Viv, you're like the mom I never had.
But
Ethan's moods. The temper. Reminds me of stories about Richard's first wife. Her glass paused, knuckles whitening. Eleanor was troubled. Unstable. Suicide. Right? Pills. I watched her, unblinking. Tragic. But rumors say she found out about indiscretions. Vivian's laugh was a shard. Gossip is poison. Fiona. Best not sipped. But her eyes, oh, they screamed. That night, Ethan came home with roses, gilt flowers, and I rewarded him with a night that left him boneless. Whispering confessions in the afterglow. Babe, that old crash? Dad was behind the wheel. I covered. I stroked his hair, memorizing the lie. My hero, I purred. Inside, the old Fiona wept, the new one sharpened claws. Summer scorched in, barbecues and board shorts masking the rot. Mia's law contact, a shark named Elena from Oakland, confirmed the drive's gold, enough to indict if leaked right. But I held back, building the noose. At the foundation gala, black ties and caviar dreams, I cornered Richard by the silent auction. His bow tie askew from too many scotches. Mr.
Ash.
Loving the work with immigrant scholarships. Ever think about that cyclist case? Morales' family could have used one. His jowls quivered. Scotch sloshing. What do you know about that? Enough to toast it, I said, clinking his glass. He stormed off, but not before hissing, Stay in your lane, girl.
Lane?
Honey, I was rewriting the map. The cracks spiderwebbed. Lila started texting me late nights, Dad's yelling again. Ethan's enabling it. I fed her crumbs, articles on whistleblower protections, anonymous tip lines. She bit.
Hard.
Meanwhile, Tara resigned after an anonymous email from Mia's burner account, screenshots of texts attached. Ethan raged that week, smashing a vase in our kitchen, shards flying like accusations. Who the fuck is after us? He roared, veins bulging. I stood my ground, voice calm as a loaded gun. Maybe karma. Ethan. For the lies. He backhanded the counter. Not me, not yet, but the echo chilled me. Clock ticking. Fall leaves turned the estate bloody. Thanksgiving looming like Judgment Day. I prepped Mia. If shit hits, you go public. All of it. She hugged me in the airport, flying back east for her sister's wedding. Promise me you'll bail if it gets ugly. Ugly's my specialty now. Ethan and I drove up early. The Porsche, new model. Old ghosts, hugging curves as he gripped the wheel white-knuckled. This family's everything to me.
Fee.
Don't fuck it up. I smiled.
Hand on his thigh.
Wouldn't dream of it. The dining room table groaned under Vivian's spread, turkey carved precise. Yams candied sweet as deception. Richard at the head, pontificating on market dips, Lila fidgeting with her napkin, eyes pleading mine across the crystal. Toast flowed to health, to wealth, until Ethan's scotch loosened his tongue. Fi's been prying, he slurred, arm heavy around my shoulders. Into family business. Silence dropped like a guillotine. Vivian's fork scraped. Richard's gaze bored in. Is that so? I met it. Steady. Just curious. Like about Javier Morales. Or Eleanor. Gasps rippled. Lila's hand flew to her mouth. Ethan's grip tightened. Bruising. What the hell? Fiona? The slap came then. Faster than memory, his palm cracking my cheek. The room spinning in a haze of giblet gravy and betrayal. I tasted copper, but didn't fall.
No.
This time I stood, cheek flaming, eyes locked on his. That all you got? Vivian gasped. Ethan, but no outrage. Just theater. Richard muttered. Discipline your wife. Lila whispered. Stop. But the silence after? That was the killer. In my first life, it had broken me.
Now, it fueled me.
I straightened, voice slicing the air. You think this ends here? I've got the dashcam. The transfers. Eleanor's diary. Richard's rage. The accident he buried. Javier's blood on your hands. Not some ghost drivers. Phone's out. Mine buzzing with Mia's text leaked. News hitting now. The TV in the den flickered on. Remote forgotten. Breaking news. Harrington tech scandal. Hit and run expose. Reporters swarming the estate gates already. Visible through frost-laced windows. Ethan lunged, but I sidestepped, grabbing a carving knife, not to strike, but to point. Touch me again. And it's attempted murder on live feed. Cops would come. Elena had looped them in. Vivian crumpled, sobbing crocodile tears. You viper. We gave you everything. Everything. I laughed. Bitter. You gave me a coffin. Richard rose. Face purple. You'll regret this. Already did. Marrying in. Sirens wailed distant.
Closing in.
Lila bolted to me, whispering, I knew.
I'm sorry.
I nodded. Forgiveness later. Maybe. Ethan staggered. Whiskey eyes wild.
Fee. Please.
We can fix. Fix. I spat. Like you fixed Javier? Or Eleanor? Push till she popped pills. Twist 2. Vivian's gasp confirmed it. Not suicide, coerced. Cornered by the family's machine. Cuffs clicked as SFPD stormed in, warrants fresh from the leak. Ethan snarling. Richard blustering. Vivian wailing to her lawyer.
Me?
I walked out into the chill night. Cheek throbbing but soul light. Mia's voice on speaker. You did it?
Fee.
Front page. But as taillights faded, a shadow in the drive. Hal. The PI. Cigarette glowing. One more thing.
Doll.
That diary? Not Eleanor's. Planted. Real killers you wait.
No.
He chuckled dark.
Kidding.
But Ethan's got a twin brother. Hidden. The driver's face on cam? Yours truly. Wait, my face.
No.
The swerve. The thud. Flashback hit. First life.
Post-slap.
I'd taken the Porsche for a drive. Rage fueled.
Fogsick.
A shadow in the road. Javier? No.
Y de Shuarba.
But the damage. Oh God. The family hadn't pinned it on me. I'd buried it myself. Blacked out the guilt with pills. Twist 3. I was the monster too. The cruiser lights painted the driveway in staccato blue, turning snowflakes to sapphire shards as the Harrington Empire crumbled live on every channel from CNN to the local Fox affiliate. I stood there, breath fogging the air, cheek pulsing like a second heartbeat, while Ethan thrashed against the cuffs, bellowing my name like a curse. Fiona, you bitch. His face twisted into something primal. The golden boy stripped bare. Richard was next. Read his rights with a Miranda that echoed off the pines, his bluster deflating into wheezes as medics checked Vivian for shock, her pearls clutched like a rosary. Lila hovered on the porch, phone trembling in her hand, live streaming the chaos because, in 2025, even family implosions went viral.
Fee.
What now? She whispered when the cops waved her off as a witness. Not a suspect. I touched her arm, gentle, for the first time in months. Run. Lila. Start over. You're not them.
But me?
I couldn't run from the bomb Hal had just dropped. His words looping like a bad cut in a slasher flick. The driver's face? Yours truly. No, bullshit. I'd taken the Porsche that night in my first life. Yeah. After the slap. Fleeing the lodge in a tear-streaked blur. Fog so thick it choked the high beams. A thud. A skid. Then nothing, panic blackout till I stumbled home. Keys ditched in the garage. Ethan none the wiser. I'd assumed it was a deer. Buried the keys. The memory. Till the news broke months later about the mystery driver. But the family pinned it on a ghost. Protected me? No. That didn't track. Hal leaned against his unmarked sedan, exhaling smoke rings that curled like questions. Figured you'd want the full reel. Dashcam's got angle, your profile. That red scarf you wore. But here's the kicker. Ethan knew. Watched you peel out. Followed in the Beamer. Saw the hit. Covered for you to keep the marriage intact. Romantic.
Huh.
My knees buckled, but I caught the porch rail. World tilting. Covered for me? The gaslighting. The slaps, not rage. But resentment? For the secret I'd made him keep? Nausea rose. Hot and sour. Javier's face smiling in photos. Dreams of scrubs and stethoscopes flashed. Accusatory. I'd killed him. Not malice, but recklessness born of their poison. The pills hadn't just been escape, they'd been atonement deferred. Cops milled. Radios crackling. Perps en route to booking, and a uniform approached. Notepad out. Ma'am? Statement. I straightened. Voice a wire. Everything. All of it. But inside, the revenge tasted like ash. I'd torched their world to light mine, only to find the fuse wired to my own veins. They hauled Ethan past, his eyes locking mine, not fury now, but something broken.
Pleading.
Why?
Fee.
I protected you. The words landed like hooks.
Protected?
From what myself? The cruiser door slammed, taillights swallowing him whole, and I sank to the steps, snow seeping through my jeans. As news vans crested the hill, reporters spilling out like hyenas. Mrs. Harrington. Was it abuse? Motive for the leak. Flashes popped. Questions barraging. Lila shoved through, throwing her coat over me. Back off. She's the victim. Victim. The word mocked. Mia called then, Voice frantic over the din. Fi? It's everywhere, Harrington downfall trending. Elena says charges stick. Manslaughter. Fraud. The works. You safe. Safe? I laughed. Hollow. Getting there. Hal drove me down the mountain. Wipers slapping slush. Radio droning updates. Tech titan arrested in domestic scandal. He glanced over. Gravel voice soft. You played it ballsy.
But that twist?
Changes the game.
How?
I rasped, staring at passing pines like they held answers. Cops'll dig deeper now. Your prints on the car. Scarf fibers at the scene. Ethan's confession in the cruiser. Lawyers already lawyering up. But he's singing to cut a deal. Singing.
About me.
The girl who'd vowed till death. Then engineered it for everyone but herself. Drop me at the airport, I said. No, scratch that. The city. Mia's place. Time to face the music I composed. San Francisco swallowed me whole that night, neon veins pulsing through the mission. To carry us spilling laughter and spice into the chill. Mia's apartment was a third-floor walk-up. Posters peeling. But sanctuary. She yanked me inside, hugging fierce till I bruised.
Jesus. Fi.
You look like hell. Over herbal tea, chamomile. Her worry brew, she pieced the fallout. Richard facing R&D theft charges. Vivian lawyered into silence. Lila fleeing to her fiancés in New York, spilling more dirt to the feds. And Ethan? Manslaughter 1 vehicular. Plus the cover-up. Bail denied. I nodded. Numb. The dashcam reel playing phantom in my mind. My swerve. The crunch. But me.
Mia.
I was driving. Her cup clattered.
What?
The confession tumbled. The fog. The thud. The buried guilt. Her face cycled shock to sorrow.
Oh.
Honey. They weaponized it. Made you the villain in your own story. No, I had. The Trung sin. The revenge. It was all to punish them for my sins. Dawn broke gray over the bay. Elena calling with a subpoena. Fiona. They're coming for accessory. Your name's in the files. Transfers you signed. Unknowingly. Unknowingly. The irony burned. I dressed in Mia's sweats. Oversized. Anonymous. And met the feds at a sterile precinct. Coffee bitter as regret. Agent Ruiz. Sharp-suited Latina, with eyes like laser sights. Slid photos across. The Porsche wreck. Scarf fibers. Ethan's post-arrest statement. He says you confessed the night of Thanksgiving. Slapped him first. Provoked it.
Lies.
Twisted to fit his narrative. I met her gaze. He hit me. Always did. But the accident?
Mine.
I panicked. Covered nothing, he did that. Ruiz leaned back. Pen tapping. Why blow the whistle now? Truth clawed up, because dying once teaches you. Half-truths kill slower than bullets. She arched a brow. Dying?
Slip.
I waved it off. Figurative, but her note scribbled deeper. Bail hearing dragged a week later. Courthouse packed with gawkers and Harrington lawyers in $1,000 suits, spinning tales of troubled marriage and mutual abuse. Judge, a grizzled vet with no patience for tech bros, denied Ethan's again, citing flight risk to the Caymans. Mine? I didn't ask. Self-surrender felt right. Cuffs voluntary as vows reversed.
Fifian testified via video, poised.
Venomous. Fiona manipulated us all. Unstable. Like Eleanor. Eleanor. The name ignited. Hal had slipped me the diary pre-arrest real one. Eleanor's cramped script detailing Richard's rages. The accident he'd forced her to claim. Pills planted as mercy kill. Not suicide, murder by despair. I handed it to Ruiz post-hearing. Exhibit A for the widow. Jail was a concrete limbo, bunk hard. Air stale with bleach and broken dreams, but clarity sharpened. Group therapy circles. Women trading war stories of fists and fallouts. Mirrored my own. You gotta own your shit, growled a tattooed vet named Carla. Chain smoking in the yard. But don't let them define it. Owned it?
Check.
But the Harringtons? They'd twisted my guilt into their shield. Letters piled. Lila's tear-stained apologies. Mia's fierce updates. Publix with you. Believe Fiona. Even a scrawled note from Ethan. Smuggled by a guard. I loved you. Why destroy us?
Loved.
Past tense. I burned it in the rec room stove. Ashes swirling like absolution. Indictment dropped in spring. Me on vehicular manslaughter. Reduced to reckless given the fog and no priors. Ethan and Richard on conspiracy. Fraud. The works. Plea deals whispered. Testify against them. Walk with probation. I took it. Standing in court summer-sweated. Voice steady as I recounted the slap. The secrets. The swerve. I thought revenge would free me. But truth? That's the real hook. Ethan glared from the dock. Vivian dabbing silk with a handkerchief. But the jury, 12 everyday Americans, tired of elite escapes, didn't blink. Sentencing came crisp October. Leaves flaming outside the windows. Judge eyed me over specs. MS. O'Connor. Harrington no more. You've unraveled a house of cards built on blood. 5 years probation. Community service with victims' families. Learn from it. O'Connor. Back to maiden name. Shed like snakeskin. Ethan got 15. Richard, 25. Vivian community for aiding. As marshals led them out, Ethan's whisper carried. This isn't over.
But it was. For them. Outside.
Mia waited with coffee, real stuff. No chamomile and a moving truck idling. Ohio? Or start fresh?
Fresh.
Always. I climbed in, window down, wind whipping free. The twist? In dying and returning, I'd saved not just myself, but Javier's legacy, foundation in his name, scholarships for dreamers like him, funded by seized assets. And me? No more ghosts. Just Fiona. Scars and all. Driving into a fog that parted clean. But late nights, when the bay fog rolls thick, I swear I hear the thud. Reminder, revenge circles back. Best wield it light. Epilogue?
Nah.
Life's no tidy bow. But 6 months post-sentencing, the world had reshuffled sans Harringtons. I crashed with Mia through probation's early haze, mandatory check-ins, therapy circles where shrinks probed the trunks in delusion. My slip to Ruiz spun into metaphor for rock bottom. Second chances aren't magic, Dr. Patel droned, her office smelling of lavender and leather. Their work.
Work?
I'd logged overtime, volunteering at the Morales Center, a squat brick building in the Tenderloin where Javier's ma, Rosa, steel-haired widow with eyes like smoldering coals, taught English to new arrivals. First visit. She sized me up over weak coffee. No pity. Just truth. You killed my boy. Direct hit. I nodded. Throat tight. And I'll spend life making restitution. She studied me, then slid a photo across. Javier. Gap-toothed grin in his nursing whites. He wanted to heal. Start there. So I did fundraising drives, grant writing, turning seized Harrington funds into tuition for kids who'd never touch a Porsche wheel. Lila surfaced sporadic, texts from Brooklyn. Her galleries show a quiet fuck you to the family name. I'm changing mine too. To Mom's maiden Sanchez. We met once. Neutral ground in a Philly diner en route to her exhibit. Her ink-splattered smock and tentative smile, me. Probation anklet chafing under jeans. I should have spoken up sooner, she said, picking at fries. The slaps. The secrets. Vivian groomed us silent.
Groomed.
The word chilled. Eleanor's diary. Now public domain in the trials. Detailed the playbook. Isolate. Intimidate. Inherit. You're free now, I told her. Meaning it. She hugged awkward, sisters. Maybe. In fracture. So are you. Ethan's appeals dragged. Tabloids feasting. Tech heirs prison romance? Bullshit clickbait. But it stung. A reminder of the void I'd carved. Once. A collect call from San Quentin, his voice. Stripped of charm.
Raw. Fee.
I get it now. The cover-up. I thought it'd bind us.
Bind.
Like chains. I hung up.
Blocked.
But not before whispering to the dial tone. It broke us both. Vivian faded to Palm Springs exile. Her memoir, a ghost-written wine that tanked on Amazon, betrayed by the bride. I reviewed it 1 star. Truth's a mirror. Look closer. Mia pushed roots. Stay. Build. So I did, sublet in No Valley. Rainbow flags flapping on Victorians. A studio where sunlight pooled like forgiveness. Job at a nonprofit. Digging grants for immigrant justice. My byline on op-eds, from privileges passenger seat. Owning the wreckage. Public aid it. Podcasts booked. TEDx whispers, but trolls bayed. Gold diggers guilt trip. Let em. Controversy was the spice. I'd choked on bland lies too long. One fog-drenched November. Rosa invited me to Javier's grave, humble plot in Calma. Fog veiling the stones like veils. We stood. Wind whipped. Her offering marigolds I'd grown on my fire escape. He'd like the center, she said. Voice cracking soft. Kids calling him a hero.
Hero.
Not me yet. Fiona, she added. Hand on mine. Forgive yourself. My boy's gone. But you're here. Do good with it. Tears stung. Hot. Back home. I burn sage, Mia's bruja ritual, smoke curling prayers to whatever gods lent second acts. Thanksgiving rolled ironic, my first free. Mia's mom's spread in Oakland, tamales steaming. Laughter loud over football on TV. No oak tables.
No crystal traps.
I raised a beer. To truths out, they clinked her family. Rowdy and real. Uncles grilling me gentle. Heard your story.
Mia.
Tough as nails. Nails? More scar tissue now. Flexible. Midnight. Balcony perch. City humming below. Phone buzzed. Lila. Linked to a news drop. Ethan's deal. Spilling on a deeper rot. Boardroom bribes to senators. Apex affront for election meddling. Your leak started it. She texted. Dominoes. I smiled faint. Vengeance's echo. But mine now pointed forward. The thud still haunted dreams. Fog and fault. But waking? Light filtered different. Second chances earned in sweat and sorries. 2 years probation in. Ink fresh on my degree. Night classes in social work. Capstone on restorative justice. I stood at the center's podium. Kids in folding chairs. Rosa beaming front row. We don't erase Rex, I said. Voice steady American grit. We rebuild roads. Applause thundered. Javier's photo on the wall, winking approval. Ethan? Life without. Rumors of prison yard fights. Appeals crumbling. Richard? Infirmary bound. Vivian a social pariah.
Me?
Fiona O'Connor. Survivor not of death, but rebirth flawed. Fierce. Finally free. The slaps echo? Faint now. Drowned by heartbeats mine alone. And if fog rolls thick, I drive slow. Eyes wide. No more ghosts in the rear view.